Good morning. Good morning, my name is Benji. Trying some different, testing this mic, which is probably better from the other side. I also have my stand connected to a different, instead of the table, I have it connected to a chair. I wanted to talk today about just a few things, I guess. Sorry, the shaking's done, I promise. So I'm at day 65 of my daily sketch. So I'm kind of scouring my photos of what to use. This was yesterday's. That was yesterday. Since I started this, I started doing a couple of things this year. I started playing Xbox Live with my brothers using the headset and stuff, and that's been helping me talk more. A lot of this is speech therapy for me. And I'm trying not to get trapped in my head. So I put on the headphones so I can think with a train of thought. Otherwise I just stop and I just get trapped in here, and it's more visual than it is oral. I had a visitor after he left, one of my buddies. I was gonna deal with some family stuff, and I kinda had to push that off because I had to deal with some puppy stuff. My dog, Giraffe, he's gonna be 13 in August, and he was having some issues with his hips, which kind of happens the last 2 winters here. But he didn't bounce back the way I wanted him to after giving him something for the pain for a couple of days. He stopped eating his dry food, and he stopped eating other stuff I was making, eggs, chicken, stuff he would eat in an instant. And then even things like cheese and French fries, just try to pique his interest, and that's when I knew that he was not doing good. He is better now. We took him to the vet, and the vet said he's not going to die today. That he thought maybe it was cancer in his testicle that had gone up into his stomach, but they weren't sure because they'd have to run tests, and he's too weak for that right now. Which, absolutely. They gave him steroid and some penicillin, and within 2 days, which I figured, he perked up, started eating again, and he's back to his self more or less. But I have been struggling, going through this idea of giving him to my neighbors because they love him. And they take good care of him. They watch him. They take him for a walk. Well, they take him next door. They got 2 dogs that he gets along with. They get along with him. And so things just kind of worked out that they could take him in. And this would be the 3rd time. The first time I left him with somebody was when I left Phoenix, and I couldn't just take him with me in the plane. I should have, though. I should have just took him with me. It's a couple months till I seen him again. Then he met up with me where I was. And we were together a couple more years. Came back home. I was here about 3 years. And then I got the hives really bad. We couldn't figure out what it was. I didn't think it was allergies at all. But I was getting weaker and my health was getting worse because of all kinds of things on top of the muscular dystrophy. And so I had an opportunity for someone to take him that I trusted and that I could see him still here in town. Because I was going to go in between houses, staying with family, and it would be too much to have him with me. Because they weren't dog people at the time. And that worked out, and I pretty much was sold on the idea of, gee, living with somebody else, and, he'd be a happy dog, I want to say about 1.5 years went by, about a year, and the opportunity came where he could come back with me. I was missing him, and the person that was taking care of him had taken in 2 other dogs that were very young, and I think too much for G. So he came back with me, and so 2 more years. It's funny because I kept thinking he was 11 for so long. Gotta change the subject now. I've been off of all medications for about 1 year. Or more, I think. About 1 year, definitely. I haven't had any hives. I'm monitoring my blood pressure here. It's still about, when it's high, what's it supposed to be, 120/80? It's about that, over 90, 94. 80's not necessarily regular for me, but that's what it is. But I've managed to keep myself calmish, and this year, starting in 2018, starting about October, November, I did a few things to cut back more drinking out of my weekly schedule by getting rid of my vehicle, so I don't take myself out, and not only buy fast food, because I always bought fast food when I was gonna drink, and if I left, that's probably what I was gonna do. Regardless if I just went to go to the park, I always picked up something. So that's dropped dramatically from sometimes 4 or 5 times a week, closer to 5, to once or twice a week, 3 tops. And I also don't leave to go get more. I try to get a half pint But when I ask someone to pick it up, sometimes they get the pint just because they think whoever's selling talks them into it. Or they just say, well, keep it there. But I know my limitations. I know that a pint of vodka, of liquor, vodka because it doesn't kill my stomach like rum does. Rum was in my 20s. I think eventually I'm gonna just probably go to something like tequila or whiskey where you can just sip it. Vodka, a martini is fucking vodka, right? You can sip a martini, but it's just another way of saying, give me a lot of vodka so I can fucking drink it. So I don't have to get back to you and keep pouring it. Something always seemed classy to me about having a highball on the rocks, something, I think that's where I'd like to be, where I can just, sip. But a lot of that has been of just knowing you can only keep so much around. So I'm okay with that. If I can regulate myself to a half pint once a week, and that half pint lasts me more than one night, I keep looking at the wrong way. Here's the camera. Then I think I have taken a tremendous step. I'm getting there. And I could have been there last winter, but I did not give a shit. I was drinking to not give a shit. Last winter is when I guess it's probably been more than a year that I stopped taking meds because I gave up. Because I thought, what's the point if I can't cut out the drinking, because I know it's a huge thing, a huge factor. No matter how much more I had cut it out, I knew it was an issue. Because you gotta, when you get to the health conscious point of, you understand it's not about fats and calories. You can make it real simple. You just recognize what is naturally, your body's naturally meant to digest and what it's not. That's why we count calories. That's why we get in this bullshit of fats and sugar-free. Because they're lying to us. The simple answer is, pay attention to what's natural and what's not. And so I do a fairly decent job. I do a great job of knowing already what's too much bread is bread. You can't just give up on the whole gluten-free thing. Just recognize that there's a lot of starch and a lot of sugar in everything you eat. A lot of preservatives in everything. Every processed food you eat. Every fast food. Most processed things, right? So just pay attention to that and eat less. Try to eat more fresh, canned, or frozen vegetables, fruit, more fresh fruit or frozen fruit than fruit juice, fruit cups, or canned fruit, because that stuff tends to be packed with sugars and just stuff. But things like, you know, canned vegetables and water and stuff is fine. And then just limit your pastas and breads. I think meat and eggs really isn't an issue if you're eating other stuff. But if you're just eating bread and pasta, uh, gravies, sauces, then you're not getting nothing good. On top of soda, what's your beverage intake? Is it sugar or is it water? For breakfast, when I'm trying to be a good boy, I just try to stick to milk and water. Right now, because it's cold, I need some sugar. I'm drinking hot chocolate with a little bit of instant coffee, a little bit of sugar, a little bit of honey and cinnamon. I didn't need that sugar, but I wanted yeah. And then some water. And so, like that, understanding that you replace the good with the bad and make yourself with a habit, it's become easier to not want to drink. That is for certain. Because you lie to yourself. You try to make up for, and when you're young, you can do it. You can get exercise. You can, chug water, vitamin C. After a while, it don't work. And I did not exercise. And I did not vitamin C and eat well in my 20s. I ate a lot of shit. A lot of shit. My religion is there, but it's not my belief. But I have a strong faith. But I'm very logical in science, but I'll get to that another day. But man, am I blessed, and I know that it's karma, it's luck, it's just my positivity because I have a strong faith. And it's just something to just focus on. There were times that I should have died multiple times because I chose to let go. Not because science wasn't there for me. There were times where hospitals and doctors, got me back, and family, when I was a kid and all that. And I was pretty strong. Maybe I just looked out too that pneumonia or certain things weren't as never got. They got chronic. They got bad, but they never crossed the line to get very severe. That being said, in my 30s. My late 20s, boy, my body was a fucking toxic disaster. I could feel it. It was a heart attack waiting to happen, I'm sure. But doctors never, they call for high blood pressure later, but they checked my cholesterol levels, I was always fine. And I think that's what it was, because since I was a kid, I used to get these chest pains. hard to breathe, these weird things. In my 20s, I'd have these heart palpitations. My fingers would go numb. You'll hear my speech start to slur. And that happens more in my 30s and stuff. And so a lot of that, especially moving back home and all this shit, you can go back and watch some of my stuff when I was getting hives and after and before and family, and I was scared this place was gonna kill me because I would let it kill me because I'd go crazy. I'd go crazy or I'd drink myself to death or something. Or I'd have a heart attack. I finally started to go. I attempted to see a therapist only once or twice because just it's difficult when people just don't have the time already to take you where you need to go, because it's not just a ride, it's you gotta pick me up. I need help to get in and out of places. Then I don't have in-home. I got denied in-home assistance. People work. So I save those appointments for doctor appointments. Important shit. I tried Zoloft, excuse me, and that's what helped. And that's actually, as soon as I got on that, my hives went away. I had hives for almost 3 fucking years. They found nothing. Steroids for 3 fucking years. That shit messed me up too. That's why I stopped taking everything a year ago. Oh, now I have osteoporosis. But I don't know, I stopped. I haven't been to the doctor in a year. I am going this month to the neurologist for my checkup, but I should go now too, just to see. But I recognized that if I couldn't, I stopped lying a while ago because I was a bad liar. I was a great liar, but I lied a lot. And I'd say at least 25 up. I tried to be a very honest person and open and blunt about a lot of things. Excuse me, I'm gonna. And guilt just rattles you. Already Catholic guilt, already very self-conscious, already grew up feeling like just a waste of time, a waste of resources. So owning up to shit takes a lot. And living here, I've been very honest with my family. But then I also there are white lies. And they're few, but they're the big ones. And it was to my doctors. What I remember the deciding point was I asked them, I've been getting this tingling in my fingertips, my fingers would shake or they curl up. When my blood pressure gets up, when I'm excited, blah blah blah. Their first question always was, have you been drinking? No. I mean, I cut back a lot. Not like I used to. And that was it. My neurologist and my general practitioner. And then about a month later I got my last muscle biopsy. That was the third one I've had, but it was the proper, more recent diagnosis. This was last year, right? Of centronuclear myopathy, and that's when it all came to me. Centronuclear myopathy, please look it up. It's a very rare form of muscular dystrophy, which they all kind of knew that throughout my diagnosis, through all these years, it's always been, well, you have some rare form. We don't know the mortality rate because it differs case to case. We can't tell you how severe it's going to get because it differs from case to case. We can just tell you it's mostly boys. It may be genetic. They still don't know. What is genetic? Oh, sorry. Inherited. Like I can pass it down. Because nobody in my family has it, but technically I did get it from my parents because not that it was in their genes, but certain genes were missing, I believe. And so centronuclear myopathy, your muscle cells are tubular, right? Here's a muscle cell. Kind of like muscle fibers. They're just long. And in normal cells, I don't know if it's the right term, but in a cell, the nuclei is in the center. This is what does. It's like the CPU of the cell, I think, would be. Is that right? In skeletal muscle cells, that's what I meant to say. Skeletal muscle cells. In skeletal muscle cells that are tubular, the nuclei is on the outside. So essentially, it kind of touches other muscle fibers, right? Or cells. And so that's how they're all kind of stacked together. So normal skeletal muscles are on the outside. My skeletal muscle cell nuclei are in the inside. It's like being locked in a bathroom. And so you can't do what you gotta do. Can't run the house. And so what does that tell us? It tells us, one, my muscular dystrophy is not degenerative. Two, my muscle weakness is my fault. I feel that way. To a large degree. And I've always kind of told that to my friends, my family. I've kind of like, when I got older, I started to think that. It wasn't until it was too late, after I kind of hit a few rock bottoms, that I noticed that I was able to get very, very weak and then just take back a large amount of strength. And I didn't think that would be possible. And in fact, a lot of people figured, well, that's it. You know, he's. That makes sense because that's how muscular dystrophy kind of works. And I used to always say that I was a firm believer that negativity played a huge part on my health. And if you go back, even before I moved back here, a lot of my downward spiral was a series of events that led to a major depression and anxiety that were of my own demise because I set myself up for failure like I just always do since I was a kid. Because I feel like I don't deserve to be happy. I don't deserve. I deserve to be punished. I deserve this. And I should be happy with it. I should be grateful for this. And I am. I am. Because it could be far worse. But I'm grateful for it because it is what I deserve, I feel. So. But, where I am today is, these are my choices. When I was a kid, I didn't think I'd make it this far. And then I did a lot of stupid shit. And when I finally realized that I could take it back, it's been very difficult. But I did it. I've been doing it. And it's scary because when you get to see that next clearing, you feel like you get real paranoid of what's happening around you. All the deaths, losing people left and right. You get to that age where people you know are losing brothers and sisters and parents and grandparents. You lose a brother when you're a child. You lose a grandfather. You see both. Both sides of it. And then you're living with a disease that just takes everybody. You go to camp and you see these kids and they're having fun and they don't give a shit. And they don't come back the next year because they pass on. You go to school with kids with disabilities and they look at you like you're cool and you got it down. And you don't want to. You try to tell them how much of a fuck up you are. And still, I'm grateful for all this shit. I don't deserve any of it. But I'm grateful for it.